CHGO White Sox podcast coming to you live from Studio B of our CHGO White Sox studios. No, that's not it. CHGO studios coming here from the west loop of Chicago. Am I having a stroke? Is this heat stroke?
Heat stroke. You got the heat stroke.
I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me at Sean_W_Anderson. The full CHGO White Sox crew is with me. Back from vacation, Vinnie Duber, our CHGO White Sox beat writer. You can follow him at Vinnie Duber, the man in the middle. Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
You can follow him at Ecknerwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. You can follow the show at CHGO_White Sox. Thank you to everybody for being patient with us as it is very hot here in Chicago. Our computer is currently melting, but we do have it in a freezer situation, and it's getting better, so we hope. We are so back. Not only is Vinny back, but the OG producer. Not only is he Mr. Football, but he's expanded his resume. He's Mr. Hockey as well. He's currently Mr. Baseball.
He's Mr. IT at the moment.
Stephen Nicholas.
Hey, guys.
We're letting your
it's good to be
producers
back.
talk. We never let you talk in our show.
If you're going to let me talk, it's going to be a Paul DeYoung show.
Yeah,
you ready for that?
I mean, he could be the headline. We went with Outfield Crunch, but I mean, we talked so much about the defense that Paul DeYoung was going to bring. Oof. No one mentioned the 14 homers they would have by June 17th. So, I mean, we all said Eloy Jimenez would lead the team in homers.
So,
wow. Paul DeYoung.
I actually want my flowers here. End of last season. There's 2 games to go.
You want your flowers?
I want my damn flowers, Dave.
Who's bringing? Why would do you need flowers?
Just give me the flowers. All right. 2 games to go last season. Sorry for the voice, by the way. I said, hey, guys, what do you think about the Sox signing Paul DeYoung in the offseason? Everyone's like, I don't know about that. Well, they did it.
I'm still like that.
Do you remember the day?
It was second. I want to say they're playing the Twins. I don't know.
All right, we'll clip it.
I don't know.
Bring it back.
No, this was off air.
Need the proof.
This was off air.
Oh, yeah.
We were on the couches.
Of course it's off air.
Is bring me my flowers like a saying?
It's like, let somebody
flowers.
have their flowers before while they can smell them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, start of the season, I said, Paul DeYoung, White Sox All-Star.
Well, you're wrong on that. Yeah, you're definitely wrong on that.
Hey, every team needs to have one All-Star, right?
Yeah, and it's Garrett Crochet.
What if he gets traded?
He won't.
You don't know that.
I 100% know that.
What do you know, Herb?
I know teams are not willing to give the number of players and the level of prospects to get to Garrett Crochet before the All-Star game. 100%. Now, they might get there when there's a deadline on the 30th of July, but not before the All-Star game.
The White Sox got Dylan Cease and Eloy Jimenez during the All-Star break, if you'll remember correctly.
They did.
Day after the All-Star game, I believe.
We're talking about if teams will be active right now.
Like before the All-Star break.
Yeah, I mean, our guy Bob Nightingale, close dear friend, I think all of us, right?
I know him personally.
Calls us every morning.
That's where you're getting your info.
He said some GM is like, we're all focused on the MLB draft. So I really don't think that that's going to change. So I think most of the actual trade talk will happen post the 16th. So, I mean, maybe.
I'm just thinking of that. You remember when Jeff Samardzija was named an All-Star for the Cubs, and they traded him before the All-Star game to the A's, and they just put him on the AL All-Star team as an A.
It's very weird.
Yeah.
That's cool.
They were like, you've already been named an All-Star, but you're going to go play for the other team now.
I would like it if he was still a National League All-Star.
Wearing an A's hat?
Yeah.
It'd just be very confusing and goofy. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Why not? But even just on the talk of Paul DeYoung, you might say, who are they going to even get possibly for Paul DeYoung? I heard this on a podcast. I think it was Sox Machine. They brought up that DJ Herz, who just threw 13 strikeouts for the Washington Nationals, he was a part of the Heimer Candelario trade that was recently made. So it could be a lower level prospect. It could be a guy outside of the top 100, and that could be okay because maybe the White Sox are looking for a specific guy. We'll talk a little bit later in the show about Brian Bannister and maybe what he'll be looking for in possible pitching acquisitions later on in the year. We'll be talking about the outfield crunch because the White Sox have a ton of guys.
My favorite breakfast cereal, White Sox outfield crunch.
Now featuring
soggy.
It's soggy.
Very soggy.
I was thinking featuring snapped limbs or
small animal bones,
used up hip muscles. It's not pleasant.
There's one prize inside though. It's just Luis Robert.
Pretty good prize.
Yeah.
It's a lot better than just a bobblehead of Barry Bonds. Did you guys collect those when you were growing up? I guess you guys were you weren't. In 2001, you had a job.
Yeah, I was
so
old
I hope
already,
you were collecting bobbleheads from a cereal.
I know what you're talking about. I think I got Randy Johnson one when he was on the Yankees, right? Was it that weird? Was it definitely 2001?
I thought it was a little bit earlier. Yeah.
Okay.
I think my Randy Johnson's a Diamondback.
Okay, that could be.
That's it.
I thought I had a Yankee one, but I don't remember. Maybe now I just don't remember who it was.
Oh, and hey, Mini Dar's looking forward to Lockdown White Sox when you going back.
I mean, I did a show. I already did the pre-record thing already, so it's probably coming out tomorrow.
Oh.
I had to go back to where it started.
That sucks. I thought it was just,
No, I already did it. It's already in the can.
Just totally thought you're still at the old job from 3 years ago.
No.
Have fun on your shift at 6:70 The Score tonight as well. All right, let's talk about the outfield. I thought it was very weird that Andrew Benintendi had a injury that was bugging him for 7 weeks, according to reporting, that he took truly 15 days on the IL and was immediately activated, but only played in 1 of the 3 games he was activated for. So, or was it 1 of 4? Because I think he
came back on Friday.
Okay, so
I believe no, he came back on Seattle.
So
early.
He's only been active in 1 of the games. Like, why? Because right now you look at the roster and you have Colas, you have Jolks, you have Robert, you have Pham who's back, you have Benintendi who's back. There's just not enough spots for these guys. I understand that trades will happen, but we might have to wait an entire month until July 17th for these deals to start happening. How do they truly make all of these players work?
I mean, I think, listen, something that Pedro has kind of emphasized to us again and again, it's almost kind of become a stock answer for him when certain guys come up or certain guys come back from the IL, that kind of thing. Hey, how are you going to put these puzzle pieces together? And he basically, I don't want to say brushes it aside, but kind of matter-of-factly states, well, but I use everybody kind of thing. And I think that he has kind of shown that, certainly I'm sure you got your gripes about the when those guys are being deployed, but he does make a pretty good habit of late game pinch hits, or late game defensive replacements. When a guy like Duke Ellis was part of the roster, putting in a late game pinch runner kind of thing.
Boy, did he.
To to varying degrees of effect. But I think that the idea is that the puzzle is going to go together in a way that all the pieces get their chance. I think at the beginning of the season, the idea is you set a roster where there's your left fielder, there's your center fielder, there's your right fielder. Everybody below them is a bench player, and they're hardly ever going to play kind of thing. Because the idea is everything goes well, those are your most productive players, and you don't have to take them out of the lineup. Everything has not gone well for the White Sox, and normally not everything goes according to plan for any team. Look at Mookie Betts out right now for the Dodgers, right? So I think that you will see, no one's going to use the word platoon, but it might be that idea, right? I mean, listen, Andrew Benintendi is supposed to be the everyday right fielder or left fielder, but he's not playing to a level that has earned him everyday time in left field, and you've seen that play out that way, right?
He could still be hurt too.
Well, and I think the idea probably there is that the thing that we always hear, they're trying to ease these guys back, right? They don't want to necessarily put too much pressure on it. You saw it with Luis Robert Jr. when he first came back from the IL back when they were playing the Cubs. So, at least you heard that kind of drawn out and stated. Now it's obviously been a little while. But I think you're probably going to see plenty of opportunity for all of those guys. It might not be what you individually want to see in terms of, I think that guy needs to be the everyday guy. I think right now they probably only got one position where there is an everyday guy. I think probably, right field leans that way with Tommy Pham and the way that he's played for them. Well, center field is the obvious everyday, with Luis Robert Jr. Sorry, to make that clear to everybody there. And then I think right field probably leans that way with Tommy Pham. But I think you're going to see these guys get at bats. I mean, remember, their DH is still out. They can shuffle guys in there like that too. So I don't think it's a big problem on this team with where they're at right now. They're going to try to continue to show off Tommy Pham. Luis Robert Jr. is going to get everyday at bats because he's Luis Robert Jr. But, I mean, do you want to see Andrew Benintendi in there every day? Do you need to see Andrew Benintendi in there every day? Corey Jolks might be something, but does he need to play every day for a team that's not doing anything? I mean, yeah, it's not necessarily the way that you would draw it up. But I don't think with where they are at right now, it's going to be an issue for them.
And like you were saying, Vinny, I think that the only two spots is the center field and the right fielder. Like Tommy Pham has to play like majority of these 40-plus games they have left before the trade deadline because you want to showcase him off to somebody else. Now, if he needs a blow, he needs a blow. But he is a guy that wants to play every day, and so you want to show to the teams that are acquiring him, hey, he's both healthy and he's productive. And as you're saying, too, Jolks, I love him, but I think he's slowed down significantly since his hot start with the White Sox, so he doesn't need to play every single day. And then tomorrow, when their opening day or their starter they're going against, I think it's Framber Valdez, it's a lefty, so more than likely you're going to see another rest day for Andrew Benintendi, getting back to being healthy because, Pedro doesn't like to play him versus lefties. And I think that was some of the problem with him not playing this whole weekend or a couple of these games. They had went against left-handed starters in a couple of those games like yesterday, and Pedro's just like, nah, let's just sit him on the bench and give him that extra day rest because we have the off day coming up on Monday. So I am fine with them just finding ways to play Tommy Pham so he can be showcased. Same thing with Gavin Sheets. And since Eloy Jimenez is out, I would put him at first base and or DH each time that I can, even versus left-handers like tomorrow versus Framber Valdez, because the last thing you want is like, oh, he's just a lefty slugger who can hit righties real hard, but is he an everyday player? What you want to show is the versatility of Gavin Sheets. He can play outfield, not well. He can play first base, and he can play designated hitter. Do you want to trade for him?
Well, I'll say this to the question we've got down here, the idea, they've got 5 outfielders, it means they don't have 3 reliable outfielders. Well, yeah.
The White Sox.
That's true right now. And I think
19 wins.
And I think the idea too is like if like pick your 3 favorites, right? Like if you put them out there, is it suddenly like fixed? Like is the team great all of a sudden just because playing time is being allocated 90% to one guy in left field? Like I don't think that makes them suddenly a second or third place team in this division, right?
My favorite thing, too, about the idea of having the 3 lefty outfielders that they do, Benintendi, Sheets, and Colas, none of them could play center field. So I don't even think you could even roll them all out in a way. I guess. But, you're going to bench Robert for that? You can't even effectively, platoon the lefties because none of them are good enough to play defense.
And I'll say this about Colas, too. Again, it goes down to you really got to zero in on where this team is at this very specific moment. If Oscar Colas doesn't get the opportunity right now, is that bad? Oscar Colas is going to get the opportunity in August. He's going to get the opportunity in September. He might play every day in August and September. It's very possible. And they might see what he's got right there, but they won't have Tommy Pham. So these problems kind of sometimes have a way of figuring themselves out. And while I get it, White Sox fans want the White Sox to win every day, that's not happening to a very large, to the extreme. It's not happening, basically. And, it's a team that's on pace right now for 120 losses. In the middle of that kind of a season, is the playing time thing super important unless we're talking about them trying to get something for Tommy Pham or them trying to get something for any other of these specific guys? Then that's the conversation that we need to be having, and it's the one that we are having.
This is a weird thing. I would want Oscar Colas to go back down to AAA and actually play because with our whole scramble we've been talking about in this whole thing, he won't get any time until somebody is traded away, and he'll just be getting these 8th, 9th inning at bats and or defensive replacement things, which are fine, but I don't think its development is going to go anywhere just being in the major leagues. I think the development is actually playing baseball, and whether that's here or up at the Charlotte level is the reason why he should be somewhere where he's playing every day and exclusively playing a position, not moving him to first base, not moving him anywhere else. Right field, that's your spot, and if you're going to be successful in the White Sox organization, that's where you're going to be playing in the future.
I would counter to that a little bit, though, in saying that him sticking up here does kind of seem like a reward for him correcting some of the things that they wanted to see him correct, right? I think last year he came back up the second time, and nothing was better, and you heard over and over again, this guy needs to work on stuff. This guy's not doing this correctly. This guy's not doing this correctly. I can't speak to last week because not only was I not out west, but I wasn't even watching because I was on vacation. But I can speak to the time he spent here in the previous few games, the week before, and I heard Pedro Grifol complimenting him in terms of he's doing this a lot better. We're seeing a different kind of player. His patience at the plate looks better than it did in the past. I think maybe keeping him up here, keeping him under the eyes of the coaching staff, right? I think that might be a little bit of a, that's it. That's what we wanted to see. Good things. We're going to be here with you and walk you through this. I don't think what you're saying is wrong. I think there's a lot of benefits to playing every day, absolutely. But I would counter that a little bit by saying maybe it's a little bit of a reward and a good thing for him to be here and stay here versus, all right, you came up for another week, get out of here, go back down where you're still not good enough for us kind of thing.
And there's no one to call up, too. Like, there's not a single person to remove Oscar Colas for. The only players that are in Charlotte right now that are on the 40-man is Braden Shoemake. Do you miss him, Herb?
I do not.
All right. Brian Ramos, he's on the 40-man.
I'm good.
Yeah, okay. I guess you could call up Jackie Robinson. I would love it. I don't want to watch Martin Maldonado
3 catchers?
play anymore. We could just have 2.
Oh, wow.
I'd have a certain one that you could just get rid of, in my opinion.
That's really Corey Lee.
And then the only other outfielder that's on the 40-man is Zach DeLoach. So
You just skipped over my man, Rafael Ortega. Isn't he on it?
No.
Oh, that's old. Okay.
It was right here. It says MLB 40-man. Yes for Zach DeLoach, and then right here it says no for Rafael Ortega. So that's how I was be able to discern that. Anyways, guys, we're close, right? We're physically close.
Physically, we're very close.
Yeah, and it's 97 degrees out right now?
98.
You didn't want to go with 98 degrees,
do it.
Nick Lachey?
Oh.
That's the hardest thing you ever have to do.
Guys, we're close, right? We're physically close right now. It's 98 degrees out?
You didn't even make the little rewind noise.
Oh, all right. Do I smell?
No.
I mean, I'm not checking.
Can
but
you smell
no.
me from there? I mean, I think you'd be able to smell. If I smell, I smell. I don't smell because of Mando Whole Body Deodorant. It has me smelling great all summer. Mando's array of odor controlling solutions ensures you'll be fresh from head to toe. The solid stick and invisible cream tube control odor for 72 hours, but you can start odor control in the shower with the 4-in-1 cleansing bar and acidified body wash, which helps stop odor before it even starts. I love that acidified body wash. It smells like bourbon leather. Says so on the actual container. That's the smell. And my wife 3 different times has told me on 3 separate occasions, you smell good. What is that? And I'm like, hey, look at that. An advertiser that hasn't even started yet, and I'm just getting compliments for doing what I normally do in showering and putting deodorant on, but now it actually works. I am a very sweaty person, not to get too TMI, hairy as well, and I gotta say, this deodorant works. So a perfect, I think, what's it called? Sponsee?
You are a sponsee.
Sponsee? What's it called? Maybe a little...
Spokesperson?
Yeah, sure. For deodorant, I gotta say this is probably my favorite deodorant that I've used. So shout out to Mando. Shout out to our guy Jim for getting this because it's been fantastic. Go check out Mando's starter pack. It's perfect for new customers. It comes with the solid stick deodorant, the cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like the mini body wash or their deodorant wipes, and free shipping. We have a discount code to help you get hooked on our favorite smelling whole body deodorant on the market. New customers get $5 off starter pack with exclusive code CHGO. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code CHGO at shopmando.com, SHOPMANDO.com. The link is also in the description below. Go check out our friends over at Mando.
Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. Game Time is a fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, theater events nearest you. And with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. I've gone to Atlanta, I've gone to Milwaukee, I've gone to Chicago, a lot of other stadiums where I buy tickets on Game Time first because of the Game Time guarantee, which means if I find another price on another secondary ticketing app that is lower than the price that in the row in the section that I bought on Game Time, I send this information to Game Time, and they'll give you 110% of that difference in your account. I did that in Atlanta, if you guys have been following me, and since then, I haven't found a lower price. I do it every single time I buy tickets on Game Time because it's convenient, and you always get the lowest price on Game Time. It's the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. See the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what you get when you arrive. And all-in prices show your total up front, so you know that you're getting a great deal without any of the hidden fees. And they're obsessed with finding you ways on saving money for tickets. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after that event starts. It's the place to go for last-minute seats. And with zone deals like I did in Milwaukee, you get to pick the section. Game Time picks the seats for an average savings of 18%. And with a game time guarantee, as I told you before, you get the best price guaranteed. You find seats in the same section and row for less. Game Time will credit you 110% of that difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code CHGO for $20 off, and this is a way you can go to the baseball game without giving Jerry Reinsdorf your money.
Minnie Dar says, get SmackDown tickets this Friday on Game Time. They're going to be at Rosemont.
Yeah, so download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed.
I'm going to be needing to use Game Time coming up.
For?
So when I was on vacation this past week, I was camping, and so no silvers. 4 nights in a row.
Wow. Steven's like, audible. Ugh.
Longest I've ever done it. It was hot when you'd go to bed. It was hot from being sunny all day. But then the lows were like in the high 50s. So you'd wake up in the middle of the night and you'd be like, "Ooh, I need that sleeping bag."
Did you camp out of your car?
What do you mean out of my car?
Like, did you park your car and then go to a campground? Like, I don't know. I've never camped. I'll never camp.
You drive to a campground. There's a parking spot, and then you walk to your campsite.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we did.
Okay.
Often you will be able to just drive right into your campsite, but we walked a little bit. Yeah.
All right.
But anyway, I had no cell service, right? And so, because you're out in the woods, and Sturgill Simpson tickets at the Salt Shed went on sale on Friday or Thursday or Friday or something like that, and I couldn't get them. They sold out real quick. So I'll be having to check Game Time like every day between now and October.
I know you also missed the Chaperone sale too. So I mean, they're like
what
exactly?
What did you say?
Don't worry about
Made
it.
up a person.
It's not. I didn't make them up.
Chaperone.
It makes sense that you guys don't get it. Okay, so don't worry about it. You both have wives. You both are over a certain age.
Steven's young. Do you know who Chaperone is?
No,
Steven's
is this
definitely
like the
does
new
not.
Papa Emeritus or something?
No.
My guy from Ghost.
No.
That scary
all right.
monster who threw out the first pitch of the Sox game.
Never mind.
That would never happen in a hotel.
All right.
True, Steven.
It's a person, a woman who is playing Lollapalooza, and they have an after show.
Gotcha.
And the tickets sold out quickly, like the Sturgill Simpson thing.
Gotcha.
So that was the joke that connected it. And resale tickets are like $390. So mainly the joke just became, you guys are really old. And KPW knows. My young people out there know. Yeah, look at that. AJ says Chaperone is mother. So let's go.
Another thing, like calling people mother is weird.
You don't get it. Anyways.
I'm an old.
So the All-Star ballot voting has been released.
Yeah.
And you have seen the power of the White Sox fans come out. The Vote Maldi movement that John Triffin talked about because of his fabulous defense and veteran presence on the team has been played out. It's been a great showing from the White Sox so far. Out of 10 catchers in the American League, Martin Maldonado is 11th. Or at least I think he's 11th because he's not in the top 10. Chucky Robinson was added to the 40-man. Is there like Jaws theme song playing behind Martin Maldonado as he hits below 100 and Chucky Robinson's on the 40-man, or is this just more how baseball works and Duke Ellis was pretty bad? And probably not going to get picked up.
I think it's probably more how baseball works. I think this is a guy that they see maybe as their only real depth at the catcher position. Obviously, Max Stassi's out for the year now, and then Edgar Caro's still very young and playing at Double-A. So it's if there's an injury at the big league level, it's got to be Chucky Robinson, and I believe it was said that he had to be added to the 40-man or he could go somewhere else. So I think the idea is that they need to keep their only catching depth handy because otherwise it'd be Adam Hackenberg and then no one. So I think that's probably more what it is, but certainly an eyebrow was raised when I saw that the move was made, and I was like, oh, why are they doing this? So, but then you think about it for a little bit, and I think it's like that. I mean, listen, you're seeing Martin Maldonado continuing to get the kind of playing time that he's been getting at least since Corey Lee, started strong and kind of ate into it a little bit. Pedro Grifol basically defends the decision to play him every time he starts, so I can't imagine that there's going to be a change of opinion from the White Sox manager anytime soon.
And as Sean and I were talking about after yesterday's game with Martin Maldonado, doesn't have it anymore. Like, there was balls that were slightly to his right. He called the pitch as the catcher. He's calling the pitches, and he didn't block him at all. Like, it looked like he was just like, oh, I'm going to block it backhandedly. Like, no, that's not the way you do it. And that might just be wear and tear of a 15-plus year career where he doesn't have the ability to do the stuff he did back in the day, as anybody can attest when they get up there in age. But I don't know what he does actually in the catcher role that is like, okay, we want our catchers filtered down from a AAA down to single A to look at this guy for his leadership and his off-the-field things where they can't see those things. They can't really see the intangible things that the White Sox brag about. The tangible things are horrid. It's just really bad. He's not doing the things that he's supposed to be doing and allowing his young pitcher, Drew Thorpe, to go through it yesterday. And I don't know who did that game plan, but Arizona, as I talked about yesterday, Sean, has one of the highest rates of hitting the four-seam fastball, and Drew Thorpe is not a fastball pitcher. Like, you're doing your weakness versus their strength and putting your strength in your pocket. Maybe you don't have, I don't know, if he didn't have grip of his changeup because of the Arizona air or something like that. Because remember, in his spring training, or when spring training was there, when he came for the White Sox, it was just terrible. That first or second time he went out there.
But isn't San Diego's
same
facility
place
in Arizona? Yeah,
Same
but
place.
he was good with San Diego.
Yeah.
He had like 3 starts that was really good.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing that changeup. I was like, whoa, that thing's stinging.
I'm trying to give him excuses,
but
why he didn't throw the changeup more.
Fegan was in Arizona, and he said on the Sox Machine podcast today that Thorpe literally just said, I didn't have my stuff today. I was bad. Like, there wasn't really any excuses. And they also talked, too, that in Double-A, his cutter and slider had more of distinct shapes, and now they're pretty much like the same pitch. So they've been working on trying to get more depth on his slider. So I don't think he's really trusting the cutter and slider. So then he really only had his fastball and changeup and wasn't really able to get ahead in the counts to throw his changeup. So I think everything was bad and horrid on Drew's part. So I think it's just a struggle of a rookie pitcher not having it and having to try to get through that. So it was just kind of a rough start in general. But I mean, even then with Maldonado and catching, not Fetty, but who's the other Washington national? Chad Kuhl.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's calling sliders, and he's literally setting up inside, and either Kuhl's missing him by 15 feet, or Maldonado just is not getting down and sliding and blocking balls. And again, it's a 37-year-old catcher. I also don't want to get on my knees and do stuff. Like, I'm not going to, whatever. But, yeah. It's a good day for me. It's really hot. Martin Maldonado has been bad, is the point. But Chucky, maybe one day we'll see him in a White Sox uniform. I think it's just waiting for Caro and just the days.
It's one of my favorite movies.
It's a really good movie. It's a good flick. Yeah. I don't think he'll make his MLB debut until 2025, but I think he's probably going to be on the MLB roster. Is that crazy? A 22-year-old catcher making the MLB roster?
Wait,
Caro?
Like, you don't think he's going to pull? You don't think he's going to
start?
Like, he won't be the opening day catcher in 2025, but he will be on it. Is that what you're saying, or did you just misspeak and talk about 2024?
No. So I think Maldonado and Lee are their plans for the rest of 2024.
I agree,
and I don't think that there's anyone unless Hackenberg comes up or Robinson ends up coming up. Like I think unless an injury happens, Maldonado and Lee's the plan.
Correct.
And I think Caro is the guy. Like, you don't really have to worry about anyone in AAA coming up to the major league roster. It's the catchers next year are Lee and Caro.
Correct.
I don't know if they're going to make Caro the everyday catcher.
They should.
I mean, maybe they end up using Corey more as a DH.
I think a lot of it probably depends on how Corey Lee plays the rest of the year. I mean, remember, we've still got 3.5 months of baseball left. If Corey Lee can continue to be a reliable offensive presence, then that gives them the ability to say, we'll start with Corey Lee as the main guy so we can ease Edgar Caro into it. But if Corey Lee ends the season as fine but not necessarily demanding that number one job, then they should have no problem saying, that kid's the future, make him the number one guy from the jump.
And just like I was saying with Oscar Colas, when you bring Caro up and you believe in him, he's got to play. So just let him play. And like Vinny says, if it's just you believe in Lee to start the year and just want to have a couple weeks, maybe a month, of Lee being the primary catcher, once you made the decision that Edgar Caro is coming up to the majors, he has to play a majority of the games that he's out there, because there'd be nothing worse than just having a young catcher missing 3 games a week. There's
also perhaps no, depending on what happens in the offseason, obviously, but there's perhaps no rush to get Edgar Caro up here. No. I mean, if they are in a similar position from a competitive standpoint and a roster standpoint a year from now, why does Edgar Caro need to be the opening day catcher, let him play a month or 2 months or 3 months in AAA and then bring him up, right?
Say, he still has a AAA level he wants to go to, and I think they want to skip that for pitchers, but for hitters, like, hey, get your ass up to AAA.
And he's young. He's so young that that the idea could be he's still one of the younger players at the AAA level. Then he's still ahead of schedule. It's not like they are, overcooking the cookies, so to speak.
Catchers are just so difficult because, again, it just seems like a position that just you take so much wear and tear at. So do you want to use maybe his better years where he is his most athletic now?
He's 21. Is he even 21? Is he 20 still?
I think
he's 21 by now?
He has to be 22.
Wasn't he one of the youngest players in AA last year?
Yes.
He's 21 and
He
72 days old.
In April, right?
He just turned 21,
Yeah, so, and he's got a .459 slugging percentage. Is that good?
That works.
Okay, that's pretty good.
2.7 years younger than the average age in AA right now?
Yes, so you could say pretty much 3 years younger than the average AA age, and he's raking. And he was not Kai Busch was just the Southern League Player of the Week, and before that was Edgar Caro.
There you go.
So pretty good trade.
Good job. It's the Birmingham Barons world we're all just living in.
Good job, Rick Hahn, Katie Williams.
We'll talk to you a little bit about what Dr. Who is saying on why should cats stay. There's some interesting stuff from Brian Bannister that we want to get to. We also have a discussion about Jose Abreu and who's better, Paul Konerko or Jose Abreu, between Herb Lawrence and I. But let's take a break and let you know about our friends over at Sunnyside. Our friends at Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary are here to elevate your summer. Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping. They have a crazy selection with over 100 different strains to choose from with easy online ordering and in-store pickup. And wherever you are in Illinois, Sunnyside has a location for you. They have spots as far south as Champaign and as far north as South Beloit. And stop in to the nearest store for you, nearest you for expert guidance from their staff or select from quality lines like Cresco or Floricale. Herb Lawrence is a classic. That's why when I'm going to go to Sunnyside next time and use code HICHGO, I'm going to go pick up some Simply Herb because he's Simply Herb.
Yeah.
And I'm reminded every time when I'm lighting that gas up of Herb Lawrence. You can too by heading to sunnyside.shop and use code HICHGO. That's high CHGO at checkout for 35% off brands like Cresco, Good News, and more to elevate your first purchase. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders.
All right. My first ad read in a week or so be kind.
Don't worry, you work with me. I make anyone look good.
Get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by more than 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. I wore my Shady Rays during my outdoor adventures in Arkansas last week. They have hundreds of options to choose from, so you're bound to find the perfect pair to match your style. They probably have a style in your team's favorite colors. Herb, good guys wear black.
Yeah.
So the saying went. As I mentioned, I just wore these last week in Arkansas. I wore them hiking. I wore them on the river. I wore them, while I was swimming in a swimming hole, and they worked. I could see out of them
Luton Wainwright the third style
in every one of those. I think every single one of those. Plus, guys, if your shades ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, maybe you drop them in Buffalo National River, don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you don't love your shades, exchange for a new pair or return worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back with personal and fast support. Guys, exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code CHGO for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by more than 300,000 people.
Thank you, Vinny.
You're welcome.
And Dr. Who's saying when pitchers' wives were spotting pitchers tipping and cats didn't, cats should have been gone then. When was that happening?
Liam. Didn't Liam say his wife
okay, well, yeah.
was correcting him from the stance?
Liam's also notable for tipping pitches. Anyways, one of the more interesting things to us is...
that was Berger. That was a different thing. These guys' wives are good.
Yeah.
They know what's going on.
They're ball knowers. Anyways, Brian Bannister has been one of the more interesting and more... eluding characters in the White Sox organization. We saw him once in the White Sox dugout, and we really haven't heard from him since. And he's been a very interesting character that we haven't heard much from. There was a tweet from our guy Lance Brozdowski from over at Watch Marquee. He said he's started digging through some aggregated minor league numbers through all 4 levels, and the White Sox have the highest four-seam velo gain of any organization. Last year was at 91.5 miles per hour. That was 30th in all of baseball. In 2024, they're at 92.8 miles per hour, and now that's up to 12th in Major League Baseball. So a 1.3 mile per hour gain. And Brian Bannister did talk to the assembled media in Arizona, and James Fegan had this quote from him: "My belief has always been, because I've done studies over the last 10 years, I've actually never really explicitly chased velo. My underlying philosophy is that you allow a pitcher to move naturally the way his body wants to move, and you end up developing them with that synergy, they end up throwing harder. If you allow them to move how they want to move versus chasing a data point or a metric, a lot of times you actually tap into more arm speed or more rotational speed with the body." So I think that's a function. It's a function of what we're trying to be a little bit more selective when we throw fastballs. I think our fastball usage was pretty high in the past in San Francisco, or you see what Andrew Bailey is doing in Boston. The people I've worked with or where I've been have been known to push fastball usage down. I think throwing less fastballs can lead to more velocity, moving more naturally, moving more athletically, throwing more selective fastballs. I think all can contribute to faster, better fastball velocity, which makes the pitch more effective. And then TJ Stats, who we've featured on the show before, he posted pitcher stuff plus by team, and the White Sox have the 9th best stuff plus in all of baseball. So the White Sox have been able to get pitching from basically nobody. I mean, Garrett Crochet has been their best pitcher, and he wasn't even a starter before spring training started. Eric Fetty was not signed by other teams, and they did not expect him to have a 3 ERA this year, and he has. And even though the bullpen has been shaky, they have gotten some pretty decent performances from the first, through April and May from some pretty no-name guys. I mean, John Brebbia was out for a long time. He was paid $5.5 million. Outside of that, I mean, Tim Hill had a run there where he was looking pretty decent.
Jordan Leisure too.
DFA'd, right. So I think the pitching, even though, Liam Hendricks' wife was noticing that Liam was tipping pitches, I think Brian Bannister and Ethan Katz have done a very good job so far, and I'm interested to see where this pitching infrastructure goes from here.
Yeah, me too. I'm very excited about the inclusion of Brian Bannister, and he has very thoughtful things that you want to just talk to him about little longer form. And so I'm glad that he gave the assembled media some time there in Arizona, because every time he does open his mouth, whether it was the signing of Eric Fetty when he was tweeting out why and how he improved his stuff, or just right here, it's just like, okay, you're just getting insight into what he and Ethan Katz are trying to build here with the White Sox. I mean, think about all the pitchers that are down in AA or in this system. Last year, I kind of tangentially heard of Mason Adams, but not a lot of these other players that they're having this year, which a couple of these players are from organizations that are not the White Sox, like Jake Eater has improved vastly this year. Same thing with Kai Busch. When we were getting him, I was like, okay, he's a good piece. But now he seems like a guy that might be in the starting rotation next year. So whatever they're doing down in the minor leagues and this whole pitching lineup the White Sox have, I am a fan of. And if we're talking about their prospects, most of them are on the pitching side. And I think that if you can get inexpensive pitching, I think that is the advantage that the White Sox need to exploit, because we already know that they're not going to spend money on pitchers firstly and as a team as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an organizational approach, and I think Brian Bannister is here not to make sure that the 2024 team wins as many games as possible, although certainly he has his fingerprints on some of the things that have helped them win games, Garrett Crochet and Eric Fetty among them, but to what you said, Sean, build something, right? To build something for the future. This is a long-term project. Chris Getz, finally got around to saying that earlier this season after kind of avoiding that question through most of the offseason. But this is a thing that's going to take years to become what they envision it to be. And Bannister is working not just with that major league pitching staff, but with all the pitchers throughout the minor leagues and with all the pitching coaches throughout the minor leagues. They're truly trying to establish a organization-wide pitching identity. That's what he's here to build. And so when you hear him talk about the specifics of that, it's something that he is saying to, or it's something I should say he's applying at many levels that are not just what you see on a nightly basis. So when Derek is mad that, hey, they're still blowing leads every night, Brian Bannister isn't really focused on the 2024 bullpen as much as he is trying to create the pitching staff for the next contending White Sox team.
Process over results, and also look at Birmingham. They're the best team in the Southern League, and Kannapolis just secured a playoff spot as well. Charlotte's has pretty much no talent at all, and the Major League team has no talent. I mean, Nicky Lopez has recently led off for the Chicago White Sox. That isn't Brian Bannister's issue.
Also, this is a thing that I want to know. The White Sox created this position that Brian Bannister's in out of whole cloth, right? This is not a thing that he's taken over for somebody. Mm-hmm. Usually they had their pitching coach at the major league level, like filtered down to all the minor league levels, right? What his standard was what all the rest of the teams did in the minor league. So
kind of, yeah. I mean, they had obviously minor league pitching coordinators, and they had folks in the front office who were probably a little bit more directly involved on a day-to-day basis in bringing whatever message they wanted to see to the minor leagues. Obviously, the pitching coach at the major league level has quite a full plate. Yes. And so I think you're going to see a lot more of the Bannister type role across baseball because, hey, Ethan Katz has to worry about getting the scouting report to the reliever they're bringing in the seventh inning every single night. He's got to worry about prepping the starter for the game that evening. He's got to worry about trying to make a pitching staff as effective as possible at the major league level. You're upset, Derek, about blowing leads every night. Ethan Katz is trying to prevent that from happening. Brian Bannister is trying to prevent it from happening in the future by creating the good pitchers of tomorrow down in the minor leagues.
So we can have a two effect, like the actual player or the actual position is created, and then the mind of the person who got hired for that position. So you're having like a twofold effect with Brian Bannister's knowledge here of the White Sox and the new job. What is he, director of pitching?
Something like that.
Like that, yeah.
I think it's pitching czar.
Well, that's what I call him. Yeah.
You go over there.
Doesn't
you
matter.
go over there. You go
Okay.
over there.
Well, that was the annoying thing, too. Like, first off, we do CHGO Tavern Style presented by Salerno's Pizza. Check it out. It's a VOD that we post at 2 p.m. Monday through Thursday. But we did a discussion about Jed Hoyer and if he's a good GM. And all the Cubs fans are like, he's president of baseball operations. It's like, okay, it was more like, is he a good head honcho? But head honcho isn't really a catchy title. It's just more, he's the guy in charge.
Baseball boss.
Right.
That's what I use.
Pitching guy.
Yeah.
He's their pitching guy.
Yeah. Because then if you would said, is he a good VP of baseball operations? Like, well, this team doesn't have one. It's like, yeah, I got you. The GM, you understood, people.
The fifth worst VP of baseball operations because there's five VP of baseball operations.
And to answer your question, he's not good.
Yeah, no. All right, let's get into our other topic that you threw out here. You apparently are arguing with people in our Discord and now want to argue with the show as well.
It wasn't that I was arguing with the people in Discord. Somebody brought up after Jose Abreu got DFA'd by the Houston Astros, like, why should Jose Abreu get a statue and or his number retired by the White Sox? I brought up that a person that has his number retired and I think a statue in Paul Konerko.
He has both of those things.
Jose Abreu had a better White Sox career than what Paul Konerko was. Now, I know the argument is 05. I got you. Awesome. But any of the offensive metrics, except for number of home runs hit in the career, which I think Paul had 16 years and Jose played 9 years when one of them was a half a year, Jose's better. Like, per year home runs, I think is better. More RBI, higher average, higher on base, higher slugging, higher F4, higher, what is else? He has a higher weighted runs created plus. All the metrics you can measure the player in, Jose Abreu is a better player.
Okay, but I really do feel like this is the definition of picking hairs. Like, yes, Paul Konerko has more home runs. Abreu has more doubles.
Everything.
I think Konerko walked a little bit more, and Abreu walked a little less. You look at their best 9 years. Abreu has a 135 weighted runs created plus. Paul Konerko has a 129 OPS plus, or whatever. I think it was OPS plus instead of that. But 135 versus 129. It's picking hairs.
Yeah,
I mean, if you had a first baseman that had a 135 OPS plus and a 129 OPS plus, you're getting a very good performance from your first baseman over 9 years, right? And that's the best 9 years. I think the thing with Paul is he had more than those 9 years with the Chicago White Sox.
Last two.
And, look at Jose Abreu's last two.
Actually, he was a 135 and OPS plus. Paul Konerko was not close to that. So
that's just not true. I
Jose
know he had a
Abreu's last year?
4 OPS plus.
No, you talking
87 OPS plus.
Oh, you're talking about Houston. I'm talking about the White Sox career.
I'm saying you're talking about last 2 years. The last 2 years of Jose Abreu's career, he has a 74 OPS plus.
No, they
were both bad at the end of their career when they turned 37.
I was comparing White Sox careers exclusively.
Yeah, but you one has a 14-year career, one has a 9-year career. So I'm picking Paul Konerko's best 9 years if we're comparing their 9 years. So from 2004 to 2012, Paul Konerko was a 129 OPS plus. Abreu was a 135 OPS plus. Jose Abreu probably shouldn't have won the AL MVP in 2020. It was only a 60-game season. And Paul Konerko, again, you brought up the World Series thing, but I think that matters. Baseball isn't an individual sport. His team won.
He has better teammates.
The World Series.
He had better teammates that year.
Okay.
Than what Jose Abreu ever
And he
had.
delivered.
Hey,
he was fantastic in 2005. He was their best position player in 2005. So I got to give it to Paul Konerko because, again, that was when the team experienced the most success. He can't control the teammates, but he was very good.
Oh, yeah.
And consistently very good in the playoffs and regular season. So, Jose Abreu didn't get the opportunity, but Paul Konerko did. And I remember him for doing and taking full advantage of that opportunity, and they won a World Series. So I got to give it to Paul Konerko because, again, he was great. And both of them were great. We could both have great. They both can be great.
Yes.
They both can get statues.
I was more saying, let's put some respect on Jose Abreu's name, and he is just as good, if not better, than Paul Konerko. I think he was better in his White Sox career, and I can't fault Jose Abreu for his teammates not allowing him to get to the playoffs or past the first round in 2020 or 2021.
I mean, and it's tough to compare the full career because, again, Jose Abreu came in at, 28?
7.
Yeah, 27.
And also
like a 176 OPS plus. I mean,
had a Rookie of the Year, too.
Yeah, Konerko was 23 and, had a 116 OPS plus. Not bad, but still, he just wasn't there yet. Also, 116 OPS plus, he had a 294 average, a 352 on base, and a 511 slug. If any White Sox currently had that, their OPS plus would be, 200, and also, would be getting flowers down the street.
I dare you
any
to
of
do
them
this.
Were
I dare any of you current White Sox to do it.
Yeah, right.
Do it.
Andrew Vaughn, why don't you be as good as this? Why don't we have a conversation where we throw you in there? Have a good next 9 years, and we'll throw you in there. Vinny, do you lean any way? Konerko, Abreu, do you want to be the Judge Judy of this?
I don't think it's a thing that needs to be determined. As you mentioned earlier, they could just both be very good. I think Herb is correct in pointing out to anyone who thinks that Jose Abreu is not very good that is wrong, and he is one of the best players in franchise history, hands down. Yep. I'll say this apropos of nothing. Paul Konerko playoff appearances career with the White Sox?
1. No,
3.
3.
Oh, yeah.
3. 2000.
2000. The kids can play.
Jose Abreu career playoff appearances with the White Sox?
2.
2. So very close.
That's true. And what they bet in the postseason? Paul Konerko, 243, 300, and 554.
That works.
Abreu homered in that A's series.
I think Abreu's over 300.
That right there works. If you can just do that for the postseason.
Abreu had 5 homers.
God damn. When was this?
No. Most of them were last year with the Astros.
Oh, yeah, they were. Damn, they were. Oh, shit. All right, well, I can't get... Yeah, he had 1 homer, with the A's. So, yeah. I mean,
against the A's, yeah.
But, I mean, his numbers in that Astros series, he had 5 hits and 2 walks, so 357 batting average, 500 on base percentage. Not bad. 2 hit by pitches as well, so...
Abreu too was clutch. We got a comment there saying Konerko was so clutch. Abreu was really clutch, and those few years when he was so quietly just really good in all the years where they were bad, and then the years where they were coming, that 2021, obviously it didn't last very long, but he was the guy who was delivering those hits every night. I mean, the reason he won the MVP in 2020 was because every time he stepped up to the plate, he delivered. And in 21, he did it an awful lot too, even though the numbers weren't as good as they were in the year prior.
And another thing that goes in Jose's column is that he won 3 Silver Sluggers, where Paulie, I don't think, won any of them. He was the best first baseman, hitting first baseman in those 3 years. I think Paul was going to get some really good people in the early 2000s.
That's part of the steroid era,
yes.
too, though.
He's going up against David Ortiz, right?
He's a DH.
Justin Moreau. I mean, he was playing first base at some of that time. Luke brings up Abreu had many 180 plus hit seasons. Paulie didn't have one. He had seasons of 177, 173, and 171.
Hey,
so again, I feel like
Luke's right.
Again, but yeah, right.
Good job.
We're going back to the splitting hairs.
Good job,
thing.
Luke.
We're going back to the splitting hairs thing. Is just what I feel like with that
franchise icons, the both of them.
Yes, absolutely. And to your point, there was one thing I went back and apparently I wrote an article. I don't do much of that. But there was the game on May 16th, 2021, where there was the infield pop fly. Hunter Dozier collides with him. He had the facial contusion, laceration, and a bruised knee, and we thought that he was probably going to be out for a while. Abreu wanted to play game 2, but they held him out. And then the next day, there's a wild pitch in the 9th inning, and he's racing home and gets them a win. Like, that was the best of Jose Abreu.
Walk-off win. Yeah. And, I mean, that happened to him. Like, that was happening to him on a weekly basis that season. If you remember, he got hit with more pitches, I think, than anybody in baseball that year. And he was just getting beat up. There was a time in which he was standing on deck and the ump cleared the bat out of the way.
Oh, yes.
And it hit Abreu.
Yeah.
And he got hit in the shin and he was just getting beat to hell throughout that entire season. And he kept playing and kept delivering throughout that entire year.
And then I think James also brought up in that Sox Machine podcast that, somebody in the organization is mentioning, like, it's not too surprising because, like, his back was, pretty tough in those later years with the White Sox. And to just kind of see him, like, be zapped completely now, it makes sense because he was kind of zapped with the White Sox and he was giving it his all. And I don't think he's, like, not giving his all to the Astros now.
He
but
just can't.
He just can't.
Right.
He's just physically unable. Is there any way that Abreu comes back, like
to the White Sox this year?
Maybe. Well, no, but like maybe he goes down to Florida and just takes like the next year, just like goes into like a dark garage, adds 25 pounds of muscle, and he just has like a Albert Pujols 43-year-old career where he's hitting like 40 bombs and only bombs.
I don't think so. I guess the only thing I could see would be minor league contract in spring training and just be like, hey, this is the baseball equivalent of 1 day contract with an NFL team so you can retire as that player.
Yeah, I think it's also unfair to Andrew Vaughn if you do sign him. Like, you don't want him to be looking over his shoulder. And he knows that we know that that's a franchise icon. If he comes back to the White Sox, Vaughn will be looking over his shoulder every 5 seconds. Like, oh, God,
he's
got to do this again.
Over his shoulder and seeing the Grim Reaper, but he's just there for Jose Abreu, who's also behind him. I don't know how threatening Abreu is.
Just let Andrew Vaughn fail or succeed on his own.
We could put Vaughn back in left field. It'll be fine.
I've been saying, put him at second base. If he's a second baseman slugging like this, why not? AJ did have a question. We do have a diehard opportunity on off days to ask us a question, and AJ ended up saying, realistically, what are the challenges you struggle with in terms of covering a team that is, at this point in time, significantly less popular than other Chicago sports franchises and is historically one of the least popular MLB teams league-wide aside from our really cool hat? Even when the team was good in 2021, it felt like the Sox were an afterthought to Chicago baseball. Story that was KB, Rizzo, and Baez leaving the Cubs. Obviously, winning fixes everything, but it's defeating. James Fegan told me the major reason the Athletic let him go was because of beat writer coverage of the White Sox wasn't in their interest anymore. It's just a bummer that it's gotten to this point and feels like even in 05 to 08, national media barely recognized the franchise. I don't think the White Sox will ever move, but this is the stuff that makes me wonder sometimes.
I mean, it's a big question, and obviously there's a lot of stuff in there. Certainly, the stuff that had to do with James and his change of employment is different, and that's all that. I guess what I would go down, what I would say at the end of the day is, like, I don't think you sign up to cover something because you want it to be read by everyone in America, right? Like, you sign up to cover something to cover it for that audience. And so the thing that I always say is, like, yeah, the White Sox aren't as popular as the Yankees or in our town as popular as the Cubs, but like, there's White Sox fans. Like, it's not like there's no White Sox fans and I've got to like go like hand deliver my stories to like 15 people and that's it. Like, there are a bunch of White Sox fans and you are covering the team for that group of people. I get what you're saying in terms of, like, there's obviously like office politics and stuff that come up at when folks got to decide, like, where certain I don't want to say resources, that's not right, but where certain attention goes to, right? Dealt with that at the last place, dealt with it, you're going to deal with it forever, but it's not necessarily unexpected, I guess, and at the same time, like, you want your whole place to succeed, so it's like, yeah, the Bears are a bigger story today, put them on the front page kind of thing, right? But I think, we do this for White Sox fans. We're not doing it to try to attract the entire, like, world of baseball fans. Like, this is very specific, and I think that we service folks who care well. And so if they're not popular, it doesn't, just because something's not popular doesn't mean it doesn't have an audience.
And I also would put in that when there are White Sox things nationally, whether it's good or bad, people are looking to Vinny or Sean or myself because they know that we cover it on a daily basis. So they're like, okay, who knows more than the people who do it every day and do it the way they do it. So I'm a White Sox fan dyed in the wool, but also somebody calls me in Phoenix, which they did last week, or PHLY or any of the other places that want to know about the White Sox stuff. I think, you still have to have the dedication to the craft that you're doing by doing as good as a job that you can that puts your name on it. So I think that, I knew signing up that the White Sox are the White Sox. And so I didn't really take it too badly when the White Sox are bad. We still get to cover them. Our check's still clear.
Well, and what I'd say too is, like, whether it was when I was growing up or since I've been doing this, as a job, like, I feel like White Sox fans kind of like that. Like, isn't that part of being a White Sox fan, is the whole chip on your shoulder? Like, fine, we're not the number one team in town, but we're still going to do our thing kind of thing. And so, like, to me, that's like a fun part of the fan base and kind of thing. And so then it's weird to me why then, like, people care so much when it's like what national places think, like, oh, ESPN forgot the White Sox again. Like, isn't that what you want? Don't you want the chip on your shoulder thing? Like, who cares what they think? You got what you're thinking. You got what you kind of want to pay attention to on a regular basis.
But the chip on the shoulder is because they're overlooked. They're consistently overlooked. They've only made the playoffs 8% of their franchise history, and then with AJ bringing that up, like 05, they didn't even really get their shine. It's mainly because they really weren't thought of as like a true World Series contender. Like, they were just kind of the White Sox. They showed up and then just kicked everyone's ass, and it was like a brief moment in time where the White Sox were the most dominant team, and it felt like this 2020 team was going to be it, was going to be the team that sustained, was going to be the team that was around for 6 years, was going to pick up steam like the Astros, and we would have our moment where, like the Astros, have become one of the bigger teams in the sport. I think that's what, at least speaking to a baseball fan of AJ's age, is that we were promised something like that, where maybe it wasn't going to be chip on the shoulder, that chip was going to be removed, and maybe we'd have a target on our back, and that just didn't happen at all. So, like, it's just more frustrating to see the fall of what could have been and now having to live with 19 wins.
Sure, but that doesn't have anything to do with media coverage or anything like that, right? I mean,
winning fixes everything, and I think if they started winning more, they'd get more attention.
Absolutely,
so
right.
The White Sox don't win enough to get an attention, and that's what I think. It's it's been 88 years before 2005. You add up the years after since, so it's been like 119 years, whatever.
I guess I'm just saying this. What do you care if a national outlet says anything about the White Sox? You got us saying it every day.
Boom.
Yes.
And also,
absolutely.
I think that, the counterculture thing that Vinny brought up is a thing the White Sox wear as a badge of honor. And I'm 100% sure that when I counter Cub fans who are talking smack, I'm like, good, go enjoy your beer garden. Who cares? Why do you care about what we're doing here? Leave us alone and do your thing. And there's nothing that
beer gardens are great.
Yeah, nothing another fan base can say to a White Sox fan that we as White Sox fans haven't already said about the team and or ourselves. So there's no hurt in being a White Sox fan at all. It's a great thing, even though the winnings. And I think they're kind of like what the Lions have been for most of their life, like bad ownership, and now you see the Lions are starting to win, and everybody jump on the Lions bandwagon because they're so woeful in their history. I think that's what the White Sox future could be like, where everybody wants the White Sox to do well because of all the bad that's happened. It's like, how they say Lionsing. White Soxing right
Well,
now.
and at least there's 2005 and Paul Konerko, because if he wasn't there, maybe we don't get that, and maybe we're still like the Lions without a Super Bowl or World Series ring.
One last twist of the knife in that argument from Sean there.
Yeah, he had to.
He won't let it go.
He's like, dunk. Let me win that one. Punctuation.
White Sox had the best player in the AL. Why did they win the World Series?
Because the rest of the team was sucks.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's an individual game played in a team concept.
Garrett Crochet's arm popped, and then Dane Dunning couldn't get an out in Game 3 against Oakland.
Hey, man.
No, that game sucked.
It did
That
suck.
game sucked,
And-
sucked,
And
and
then
then closed out by
Aloy
Liam.
hit a double and then had to leave the game like immediately.
Yes.
Remember who Dane Dunning started instead of that game?
Dylan Cease.
Dylan Cease.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy to think about now?
Yes.
Now it is.
Was that
At the
by
time.
choice?
Yes.
Yeah.
At the time, I was like, no, don't start Cease.
Yeah.
I would rather have
He had the
Dunning.
control issues at the time. Well, still does, I guess. But
Oh, it's been a little bit better in San Diego. Weird how that works.
He was terrible yesterday, though.
Yeah. All right.
He's had a couple blow-up games.
Anyways, that's going to do it for the CHGO White Sox podcast. We appreciate you, the Chicago White Sox fans. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us. Make sure you sign up if you are interested to become a diehard. Diehards get 20% off events. We do have tickets for the upcoming takeover on the 24th, as the Dodgers will be coming to town. No Mookie Betts, but Shohei Ohtani has a pretty good consolation prize. Hit that thumbs up button. That's Vinnie Duber, our CHGO White Sox beat writer. You can follow him at Vinnie Duber. That's Herb Lawrence, our CHGO White Sox community leader. You can follow him at Ectorwall23. I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me at Sean_W_Anderson. Thank you to Steven. Goodbye.
We all silly like the mayor.